Hi, hello, welcome. I'm Sam, and this is Sam Shells. And today we're going to do a reading vlog for Oathbound, which is the third book in the Legendborn cycle. But just so you know, I didn't decide to start vlogging until halfway through reading it. So I don't really have that many thoughts from the first half of the book. But for those of you who are unfamiliar, Oathbound is the third book in the Legendborn cycle, which is a wonderful YA fantasy series written by Tracy Dion. I definitely loved the first two books, and this is my experience of reading the third book. So it will be full of spoilers, both for Legendbound, Bloodmarked, and Oathbound. If you haven't read the books and you're interested in reading them, do not watch this video. If you haven't read the books and you're not interested in reading them, there's something wrong with you, and you should. So, without further ado, here is a collection of the most chaotic videos I have recorded. Will you be able to tell what's happening? I don't know. At one point, I just mentioned a chapter. So if you don't remember that chapter, that's on me, honestly, but good luck. I am recording this portion of the video several weeks after I finish the book. So I'll come back at the end and give you my final thoughts with several weeks worth of reflection. And you might think, oh wow, she'll have really insightful things to say. And to that I say, please don't expect that. I don't have that for you. But I will tell you some thoughts I had. So, back to you, past Sam. So I'm about 50% of the way through Oathbound, and I've just decided I want to start vlogging my experience. So let me think about what I want to say about the book so far. One, Tracy Dion, the woman that you are, it is good, but I am having a little bit of trouble because I don't care about the twins. I'm sorry. I know that I should. Like, for Bloodmarked, we were introduced to new characters and I cared about them immediately. But for some reason, I just don't care about the twins. So that kind of drags down Bree's storyline a little bit. And also, I want more Cell. I need to know what's going on. I feel like we're getting so little information, and obviously, like, that's on purpose, but I wish there was more. I'm not missing Nick as much, but I do think it's very interesting how much we're like dancing around the topic of Nick. So like our insight to Nick is through our healer, whose name I'm forgetting in this moment. And that's interesting. And Lark is not as funny as I want him to be. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Yeah. I think more of Erebus, or however you say his name, is interesting. I think his lore is really interesting. And I think the world building around the like Shadow Court is interesting. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So it's feeling a little bit like it's dragging, but I also still want to read it every day. So it's like I'm not compelled to read 100 pages in a night, but I am compelled to think about how I want to be reading it most of the time. That's where we're at. I'm also in the middle of like the longest reading slump of my life. I've read a total of 30 books this year, I think, which like is great. That's a great number of books to read, and is much less than half of what I would normally have read at this point in the year. So maybe it's that. I don't know. Anyway, I think I'm technically less than half of the way through, but I'm on chapter 25. So I'm going to get back to it. We're in for another Bree chapter. Oh, also I keep forgetting that Bree turned into a dragon at the end of the last book. So when she brought down the shield around Erebus's shed, or whatever it was, I was like, that's the whole dragon thing. Forgot about that. Okay, one more thing. What's going on with Bree's dad? Did I forget? Or do we not know yet? Obviously, I assume Erebus is taking care of it in some manner, but like, what is going on? Oh shoot. I haven't even talked about the fact that Bree is missing all of her memories, which I do think is valuable. I don't mind it as like a plot device. Yeah, interesting execution though. Like all of these figures exist in her memories, and also she doesn't know them at all. Tracy Dion, your mind. Hi, it's the next day. I'm on page 306, and I feel so stupid, because why is it that I never considered that Faye was the person who Sel's mom should have been serving as King's Mage? Why did that thought never occur to me? So I did a little reading on my New Hampshire camping trip, and then I got sick. I had a little bit of a fever. I think it was a cold. I did take a COVID test, and it was negative. Shout out to a negative COVID test. That's great. Yeah, so I spent most of Sunday feeling like crap. Today's Monday. I slept until 3 p.m. today, but I'm feeling better now, and we're on chapter 32. So, yay! Here's hoping we get some good reading done. Okay, it is in this chapter that I'm realizing that we've spent like so much time away from Nick since the first book. Like, he was barely in the second book, that I don't remember what he is like. This is also because I reread Legendborn and Bloodmarked many months ago before I decided to finally pick up Oathbound. That's neither here nor there. The point is, I don't remember enough about Nick's characterization, and that's really a problem right now. It's a new day. I'm on chapter 39. They are now trapped in the castle, basically. And I think now's a good time, because Nick is describing Sel, to mention that I want a throuple. It's already been established that Sel had a crush on Nick. Nick, the way that he's describing Sel as mercurial, moody, like you wouldn't believe, strong, talented, opinionated, dedicated, he sighs, halfway to a groan. Passionate, rude, terrifying when he wants to be, which is often. That sounds like someone that you're in love with. Sounds like someone you don't want to be in love with, but you are in love with. And I think that they should just be a throuple. So anyway, that's that. Also, what else do I have to say? Zoe knows that she is the scion of Arthur, which, interesting. I didn't think it would be revealed at this point. And I wonder where we're going with that. And that's it, I think. That's all I have to update. To be clear, I've been rooting for a throuple since we found out that Sel used to have a crush on Nick. From that moment, I said, give our bisexual king the throuple of his dreams. So I just finished chapter 43. Right. Okay, that's it. It's another new day, and it's really taken me quite a while to finish this book, but I am visiting a friend, which brings me to more context for that last clip. I just started crying when my friend got home from work yesterday. So he came home. I was in tears. He was confused. And I told him it was the book, but then I still had another like 8 pages of the ebook to read. And so he was just standing there in silence while I was crying. And then occasionally you would hear from me. So I'm sure it was quite the experience for him. Anyway, now we're on chapter 48. Nick has just told Bree that his plan is to steal Arthur from her, basically. And on the one hand, like, he was the one who was always trained to be Arthur. But on the other hand, I don't know that I like that plan, Nicholas. I don't know that I like it. Also, he's just decided that it's what's best for her. And, like, Bree doesn't seem to be putting up as much of a fight as I would, because as much as Bree hated being possessed by Arthur, how dare you decide whether or not I get to be possessed?
So, I don't know. She's not putting up very much of a fight to his plan right now. Although I guess nothing, she hasn't reconnected her stream, so it's not really a present issue. But I don't know. I'm not really a fan of the like, I've decided that I'm going to do this thing whether you want me to or not, you know? Right, so I'm on chapter 49, and of course, this auction has become a slave auction. That's so fun. Cool, cool, cool. Cool, 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 cool. Of course, they're all Black women. Right, yeah. And they're not there. They're not there because that would look bad. That would look bad. I wonder what these people who are considering buying humans are thinking, and what they would think when they see this is just a bunch of Black women. Fun. Natasha just said, I have no idea what he'll do if she doesn't remember him, referring to Cell and Bree. And now I'm thinking, will she just remember him? Is Cell what she needs to crack the code? It is the next morning, and hopefully the final morning. We are on chapter 56. I have about 100 pages left in this ebook, so I'm hopeful that I'll be able to finish it this morning. Now, should I be working right now? Well, I'm not, so there's that. The biggest thing that we've learned is that she lost a piece of her soul in her deal with the Shadow King, which is interesting. And I'm wondering, does it count? Does the soul count as the piece that is missing from her deal with Erebus, right? Because she, she made 2 requests, and he ended up being able to sneak in and have like a sneaky thing that she owed him. And so when Erebus seems surprised that he got a piece of her soul when the deal happened. But if he got a piece of her soul, does that mean that it is fulfilled? Or can she make that fulfill the deal? I don't know. But I think that that's interesting. Also, I feel like she's functioning fine. Does she really need that piece of her soul? It'll be fine. So yeah, I am going to get to reading, hopefully. I don't know. I assume it ends with a cliffhanger. All of these books have ended with cliffhangers thus far. I expect nothing less from Tracy Dion. So here we go. A distraction. Stop it. God. It took me 2 sentences to tear up when her dad came. So that's where I'm at. I need y'all to know that just yesterday I posted this picture of me and my dad. So she says, I can see why Nick assumed this man standing in front of me is my father. We have similar features, the same dimples, if not the same smile, the same mouth, the same nose. I'm on chapter 59. She's going to meet with Erebus, and I hope Cell shows up. Everyone's so afraid of Cell. I'm not afraid of Cell. I want Cell to show up, and I want him to attack Erebus for no reason, as he should, as Selwyn came. Okay, so I didn't expect him to show up before the meeting with Erebus, but, we love Tracy for that. Is he here? And did he cut off his hand immediately? Yes. No warning. Was he reaching for Bree? No, he was not. He was reaching for the crown. So, yeah, no, I think that counts as attacking Erebus for no reason. Could and might. Might and could. He's just so much more entertaining as a character. You want me to root for Nick when Cell is so stupid? A king, a knight, and a prince.
And we're back. And like I said, it has been several weeks since I finished reading Oathbound. And I have been engaging with reviews and talking to my friends who've read Oathbound. And there are a few things that have come up in like those discussions or in watching that I think I want to talk about. But to be clear, I'm not great at doing a conclusion for this. So this is just kind of an amalgamation of final thoughts. And one of the ones that stands out the most to me is that I think the depiction of the Shadow King in Oathbound is really interesting. I really appreciate how complex he is as a character. One of the reviews that I saw for this book was sort of complaining about how he didn't seem like that scary of a big bad, and he didn't seem like the most evil. He's like supposed to be the most evil person alive, but he doesn't seem that evil. And I think that that's intentional. It really feels like Tracy intentionally made this a character that has like really sincere motivations. I think the reality is that most of the like most evil people in reality really believe that they're doing what's best for the people who they value. And so to have a Shadow King that isn't just evil for the sake of being evil, but has his own like motivation and what feels like a really fleshed out past, I think was really impressive. And like I said, one of the strongest aspects of this novel. I wanted to learn more about the Shadow King. I wanted to learn more about the Shadow Court. And I wanted to know how it is that Bree would interface with these like structures. And so the choice to have Bree experience this breakthrough in terms of manifesting control over her magic come at the hands of the Shadow King, who she is still actively at odds with, but also is a mentor to her. I think that that's really powerful and really interesting. And I don't know. I'm really interested to see where it goes, because in some ways it sort of reminded me of the process that I went through in young adulthood of really understanding that there is a lot of nuance to like society that I didn't necessarily understand before. The big bads in life are often like more complicated than we make it out to be. And so I think the introduction of the backstory of this character was definitely really compelling, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the fourth book. So I felt like the Shadow King's depiction was really interesting and nuanced. And on the other hand, I liked Will less in this book than I have liked him in previous books when we were in his head. And there was an aspect of that was kind of disappointing to me. I was so excited when I saw that we would be in Will's head, because he was a character that I loved so much in the first two books. But I felt like his chapters were kind of boring. And I felt like the love story between him and Lark, which again felt really rooted and interesting in the second book, even though they're secondary characters and we're not in either of their heads. When we get into Will's head, it feels weaker. Like it feels like a less interesting romance. And so I was disappointed in that aspect of the book, and I felt like a lot of Will's POV chapters really dragged for me, and that's so disappointing. I don't know what it is that really didn't click for me in that regard, but that is one of the most disappointing aspects of the novel for me. I just didn't like Will as much as I loved Will previously, and that's really frustrating that we didn't get as strong a characterization of this character who's been around for a long time, you know? I am interested to see where Sel's demonia goes now, because we know that the Shadow King is very powerful in a way that all his underlings are not. And I never really fully bought into the idea that Sel was consumed by his demonia, right? Like I said in my clip, I'm not afraid of Sel showing up. Why are y'all afraid of Sel showing up? And so I'm really interested to see where that goes. And the lack of his presence in this book was definitely felt for me personally. I just find him such a compelling and interesting character. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm really not convinced that he really was ever even like consumed in the way that maybe Tracy was trying to get us to think, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. I saw another reviewer who said that they didn't like this, and I have to agree. Something about call and response as like the thing for Bree and Nick just like does not hit for me. I don't know. It doesn't work for me. Whenever I read it, I'm like, okay, like that doesn't feel very romantic to me. I do think that there are people for whom it works. It just doesn't really work for me. So every time it was repeated throughout the book, which is repeated several times, I was like, well, good for you, I guess. Like, you both have ancestors that may or may not have banged. That being said, I think the vibes between Nick and Bree were good in this book, and I think it was a good reminder of who Nick is, because he was so absent in Bloodmark. It's easy to forget how important he is to Bree and how much their interactions do really work. And I think also this book was a good reminder that Nick is like worthy of a presence in Bree's life, right? Like that he is actively fighting for Bree when she's not even around in this book is really a testament to how much he does contribute to the story. So I was like, okay, like I get it. I'm glad you're here, even if you're boring. And I think that aspect of like Nick not being as interesting to me as Cell is interesting. I don't know really what to say about that. I don't think that that's a testament to Tracy necessarily. I think it's more like my like who I vibe with. Like I just vibe with Cell more, and I find him more interesting, even though Nick has a plenty interesting backstory, and I think he's like pleasantly charming. Or maybe it's just because he's blonde, you know? I'm not really attracted to blondes, so it could be that. Another aspect of the book that I really liked was how strong Bree's community is. Throughout this novel, there are so many people who are looking for her, not because of who she like represents, but because of who she is. Because she is like, she herself has fostered these relationships with so many people who are so eager to see her safe and protected. And so I thought that was really so beautiful to see, especially for a character that has lost so much and has such a heavy weight. To have such a strong community around her, I think was really beautiful to see, and definitely one of the parts of the book that I really enjoyed. Another like very small, just like kind of throwaway moment that was very important to me personally was Bree confirming that she is queer. The moment that she has with the twins where they ask her like what she's interested in, and she's like, oh, well, I guess I'm interested in people. Yes. We love that for you, queen. And then one of the things that I haven't seen anybody really discuss that I have been thinking about is the parallels between Bree burning her ancestral streams and also needing to cut ties with her memory and the people she knows now in order to develop her powers. So like twice in a row she does this, and then she has this moment at the end of this book where she has to sacrifice Alice in order to get her memories back. And in all three instances, she sort of chooses herself, for better or for worse, right? So when she burns the ancestral streams, it seems like a very impulsive and maybe not very valuable thing to do. But she chooses to do it anyway because she needs it for her mental health in that moment. And when she loses her memories, she doesn't do it intentionally, but it is huge. It's a huge aspect of her being able to focus on and develop her powers. And I think Tracy makes it pretty clear that she would not have been able to develop her powers to the extent that she was able to in this book if she had not been able to let go of those ties for the moment and let go of those expectations, right? So they're the expectations of her ancestors and then the expectations of her family and friends. And so I do wonder if this is kind of a third instance in the same realm of like she has to let go of her attachment to Alice in order to regain those memories and like where that goes, because it just, those feel like very connected. And in my mind of, again, it's like people close to her that she has to like let go of. And I hope Alice is not actually dead, but um, I'm really interested to see what comes of this continuing theme, and where we go from here. So I don't know. Like I said, I haven't really seen anybody make those connections in the way that I've made those connections. So maybe I'm reaching, but I just think it's really interesting that she is continuously having to like release her attachment, even though it's very clear like the people around her are very important to her development as well. So yeah, those are like most of the major thoughts I had on Legendborn. Overall, I would say that it definitely felt like it dragged in places. Like I said, I didn't really ever get that attached to the twins. And so the amount of time that we spent with the twins felt like a little bit boring. And Will's chapters felt a little bit boring. And I think overall the pacing of the novel was not as like fast paced as the other two. And so I do think it was a bit of a step down for me, but I did still really like the book. I think I would still recommend it. If this was the first book in a series, I would want to continue. Tracy's writing is really incredible, so I think it's more a testament to how great the first two were that this feels like a bit of a step down. But overall, I wasn't necessarily disappointed. It just wasn't as beloved as the first two. I will also say, like, I didn't like Bloodmarked as much as I liked Legendborn the first time I read it, and then when I reread Bloodmarked, I loved it. Like, it's probably my favorite right now. So I could definitely see a world in which I reread Oathbound and then decide that it's my favorite. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts. I am so glad that I finally got around to reading it, and so devastated that I don't even have a release date to be excited about for the fourth book. Like, who knows how long we're gonna have to wait. I don't think it would be surprising if it ends up being 2 years. I hope not, though. I actually really just want her to surprise announce at the end of November that, that the fourth book is coming out next year. That would be ideal. That would be ideal. But in the meantime, I will enjoy the time that I've spent with Bree and wait in anticipation for the next one. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for listening to the ramblings of a crazy woman. And I appreciate you. Hopefully I'll see you next time, whenever that is. Bye.